I think I need to be honest with everybody that's here right now. I'm actually really enjoying streaming on YouTube. Hey, Unjacked here with another video, and I think you're gonna like this one. This happens to be one of my favorite builds for 3.19, probably my favorite build since they took Fireburst away from me. Anyway, this is my Herald of Thunder. This is on an Elementalist, and I think you're gonna dig it. Let me show it to you. All right, let's jump right into it. It's gonna be pretty straightforward. Most of these items are uniques. So we're doing the Annihilating Light. Just say this real quick. If you can't afford or don't want to deal with the res stuff for Annihilating Light, you can feel free to try to get a Cane of Kulamak. You just want big increased lightning damage. We're an Elementalist. We don't care about the chance to shock part, but the 22% chance to deal double damage is really good. So pick which one you want, deal with the reses, how you deal with them, and that's going to be your main weapon. Next is going to be Crown of Inward Eye. I happen to get a perfect roll plus the implicit for 1 divine. So if you can pick that up, feel free. It doesn't have to be a perfect roll. Just get something good, but you want that implicit. And yeah, I think this is probably the best in slot for this build. Next, we got the Impulse's Broken Heart. This is big damage, but mostly this is for clear. And of course, I'm unaffected by shock, which is super cool. So this is definitely going to be the best in slot for this as well. Next is going to be Storm's Gift. I don't really care what the implicits are. I just found some rarity ones. I liked it. There's going to be 3 important lines. The last 3, 2 if you don't care about lightning res, but those last 2 are what we get these gloves for. In another video, I'll talk in depth a little bit about these gloves versus a pair of rare gloves. But I don't want to spend the time in the video talking about that. All right, next is going to be 2 Storm Secret Rings. Now, I happen to find basically perfect rolls on the middle line on the bottom there. Herald of Thunderstorms hit enemies with 50% increased frequency. This means that my Herald of Thunder is going off twice as much because each ring is 50 and 50. I didn't really care about any of the other lines. I mean, anything with increased lightning damage is always going to be delicious, but I'd rather my Herald go off as many times as possible. Okay, that's it for the unique gear. Next is going to be the amulet. I went with basically a heavy all attribute plus 1 level to all lightning skill gems. You can kind of fill in the gaps. I put my aspect of the spider on this. And then we have our boots. You want to get at least 30% chaos res on here because it's the only way to cap your chaos res. You have to get it either 30 on the belt, 30 on the boots, or 30 on here, but 2 of these pieces need like 30 to 35 chaos res in order to get you capped out. So boots is really just movement speed, chaos res, and 1 of the elemental res with 1 crafted on. The implicits doesn't really matter. I just took life regen and some movement speed. Finally, the belt. This is where I get the last big elemental res plus a chaos res roll. I happen to get life on this, and then I crafted some more res. These are just really about capping your res and just making sure you have some life on there as well and movement speed. So pretty straightforward. I think that covers it for the gear. Oh, I will address the eye real quick in the gear. If you are missing something like I was a little short of dexterity, get whatever missing attributes or reses you can on your jewel, stick it in your Stygian, and you're good to go. Okay, that's it for the gear. Now let's move on to the gems. So in my 6th link up here, I have cast when damage taken, I have punishment, an anomalous crackling lance, I have conductivity, I have awakened hex touch support. This allows me to curse on hit. And then I have anomalous Arctic armor. This is actually a 5 link. I just don't want to unlink this, so I put, you know, Arctic armor here. So on a 5 link, this is basically just your curses. You just want to make sure you're hitting them and you're good to go. Okay, in the helmet, I have cast when damage taken. I have Vow Cold Snap, increased duration, and anomalous immortal call. In the body, it's a full 6 link. We have Empower, Herald of Thunder, Awakened Elemental Focus, Awakened Lightning Pen. These are all level 5, by the way. Awakened added lightning damage and energy shield support. Okay, gloves. We have life tap support. Make sure level 2. We have flame dash, phase run, and increased duration. I happen to be a flame dash enjoyer. Some people might like frost blink or something else. get whatever your preference is. I just happen to like 3 shots that I can get out of something that's a little bit dangerous. In the boots, we have Anomalous Cast when damage, Divergent Purifying Flame, Divergent Wave of Conviction, and Divergent Culling Strike. So pretty straightforward. Just level them all the way up, except for a cast with damage here. It's level 1, level 1 here, and level 1 here. So, but everything else, as long as you keep it pretty level low, it's all in the POB. Okay, so make sure you check that. And then of course, I'll get updated ones as much as I can. I'll try to update it for you. Okay, moving on. Let's do Flasks real quick. These flasks are pretty mandatory. Okay, so we have our life flask. We just want to get our corrupted blood, bleeding. Just try to get a good roll here. And then we have amethyst flask. This is going to cap our chaos res so that we really need this. On this one, I happen to roll 39% additional elemental res. This is going to help us cap because remember, Annihilating Light takes everything from us. So this is where we make it up. Then I have a max roll, reduce effect of curses on me. That's on my Quicksilver. It's fine. And then we need a Vessel of Vinctar. This is going to help us cap our lightning res and take less lightning damage. So every time our Herald hits, it's going to hit us for 250 lightning damage per ring. So that's 500. This helps us take less damage and sustain ourselves. And then last is the Wise Oak. This is going to help us take less damage from the elements and give us some pen. So that's it. Get your flask all on use when charges reach full, except your life flask, of course, and automate them. Make sure you automate them and forget them. 20 quality and moving on. All right, speaking of moving on, let's head over to the tree. This tree right here, not bad. It's pretty easy. It's two setups of cluster jewels and everything like that. So big thing to note here is Glorious Vanity. You can use the Timeless Jewel calculator to go see what you can get. You just really want some lightning damage if you can. So like Ritual of Thunder. Mine doesn't have like great stuff to it. What we're really after here is the Corrupted Soul. So this allows us to manage our damage a little bit and push some energy shields. So grab this and then we should be good. So large cluster doesn't really matter. This one happens to be cold damage. This one happens to be lightning damage. On one of them, you want Prismatic Heart, Sadist, and Doriani's Lesson. It is important to have this exact cluster with these nodes. You need these. In this setup, we have increased damage while affected by a Herald. We are taking an Empowered Envy and Dark Messenger, and on this one, Dark Messenger and Heraldry, and then we're putting some our Grand Spectrum jewels. We have 3 of these to cap our reses. So I have 1 here, I have 1 there, and I think 1 like right here. So that's my Grand Spectrum that caps my reses. On this side, pretty simple. We're getting Calamitous Visions, and this is going to help us with our Herald damage. So grab this, pretty cheap. I don't know, maybe a couple dozen chaos, whatever. And then we have Dark Messenger, Empowered Envoy, and then this one's our only weird one. We got increased effect of non-damaging ailments. So here we're looking for Astonishing Affliction, and we're looking for ailment duration and just bigger ailment stuff. And then a huge lightning damage with Overshock. And then finally in the little one, we're putting Enduring Composure. This is your armor small cluster. And this just helps us get us our endurance charge every second if we've been hit recently. And we do get hit. We do. And plus 30% increased armor. It's pretty good. Last to note is down here, I just have Impossible Escape. This allows us to connect to these Soul Thief and One with Evil. Helps us with our Chaos Res, and of course that's just big evasion, energy shield plus recovery. So I don't know, pretty decent. Hey, let's zoom in here while we're here and let's talk about the Ascendancy. Now you can take these in whatever order you want. You're not going to pick up Herald of Thunder until, a little bit later, probably like 68 or so. So these aren't necessarily hugely important, but these are. All right, we want to make sure we get some exposure here. And then you could probably save Heart of Destruction for like Uber Lab. I don't know, it feels pretty good. So maybe I'm taking Shaper of Winter last. So this is how I would do it. I would take Mastermind Discord for normal. I would take Heart of Destruction for Cruel. By the time you hit Merc, I would take Shaper of Storms. You should be getting ready to put your Herald of Thunder on. And then Uber can be your Shaper of Winter. And that's what I would do. You can mess around with it, whatever you want. If you want to do a fifth set, like a Forbidden Jewel setup, we'd probably have to rearrange this. I can address this later in the endgame. So we'll leave that, to that. All right, let's get to the last little part. So let's look at Pantheon. What am I using for this? I decided to go Soul of Lunaris. I just happen to like a little bit of movement speed. It's just, a little bit less damage. I happen to like avoid projectiles that chain. That is so deadly. It kills me every single time. So I remove that. But if you're having an issue elsewhere, a Pantheon is meant to adjust with the content that you're supposed to be doing. So if you're using content that, say, has Burning Ground, you don't have any immunity for Burning Ground, then you should probably use Soul of Aberrath, right? So just keep that in mind. But these are mine, Gruthkal and Soul Lunaris. All right. Finally, Bandits, I killed them all. Take you 2 points. They're so much better. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is my leveling thoughts. How you level is your business, all right? I don't really care how you level, but you need to get to level 68 in order to make this build happen. So most of your endgame gear, like this, Impulses is 68. This is like 53. I'm not going to take these out to say, but I will say level with a friend. This shouldn't be your league start by any chance. You can go and do a minion. You can do, anything you want. Just go out there and level your witch, get your ascendancies, and then after 68, 70, you can start swapping over to Herald of Thunder and just start blowing up some content. So finally, I'm going to leave you with some of my gameplay, and then I'll see you at the end. Thank you for watching, and let me show you what this thing can do. Let's go over here. All right, that was a lot of information to cover. So if you missed anything, please feel free to go back. I'm going to go ahead and timestamp it below. If you need any of these sections, make sure you check out the POB and feel free to make it better. Make it better. Let me know what you came up with and show it off. I want everybody to play this build, so don't think for a moment that I'm being selfish at all. If you need help with that, you can always come into our live streams, twitch.tv/unjacked and Unjacked Gaming right here on this channel. So if you dig it, put a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.